Good evening, everybody. This is Mayor Robert Sullivan, and I'm proud to have, as we did last week, we have the Council President Shirley Azak, who is the City Council from Ward 7. And as you recall, we had the Council President and the 4 councils at large on last week. I'm really happy to have 2 additional City Councilors. We have City Councilor Jack Lally from Ward 6. And we have a counselor at large, counselor and attorney Jeff Thompson from Ward 5. The city councilor from Ward 4, Susan DeCastro, is the newly appointed Brockton representative to the Plymouth County Advisory Board. I resigned after 14 years and I appointed Susan after I became mayor, and she has a conflict. They have a meeting tonight. So it's really my honor to have my fellow elected officials on. The whole purpose is for us to talk about what Brockton is doing as elected officials with COVID-19, the coronavirus. And we had a wonderful call today, a Zoom, everything's Zoom now. And Jeff was on and Shirley was on. I know Jack had another engagement. Susan McCaster was on. But let me start by saying, first of all, the sad news continues. I sent out notice to the city councilors and to the state delegation, as I do every day. Unfortunately, the death has increased. The loss of life to Brockton residents is now 148. 148 people have passed away due to the COVID. And of course, our thoughts go out to the departed and their surviving loved ones. Additional numbers, of course, are the positive current cases. Current active cases are 2,342 people right now are dealing with COVID here in the city of Brockton. Total cases overall, since the state started calculating, is 2,834. So we're seeing some people recover, which is the great news. The sad, continued tragic news is that people are continuing to die. As I indicated to the council president, I have 3 calls per week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with all the hospitals. Included in that is Good Samaritan Medical Center, Signature Brockton Hospital, Brockton Neighborhood Health Center. Father Bill's Mainspring is also on that call, and High Point. The VA hospital had been on it, but they've chosen to not join every week. And then twice a week, it's 2 times a week with all the nursing homes, healthcare facilities, rest homes, and assisted living. And, you know, I know that Shirley, Jeff, and Jack share the same sentiments. You know, it tends to be a virus that spreads rapidly like wildfire in an area that has confined density. And right now, the rest homes, nursing homes are a significant loss of life right now. So I'd love to be able to talk to the councilors, specifically, you know, their thoughts, their concerns, what's going on in the ward. And again, Shirley Azak is both here as a ward council up in 7, and also, of course, the council president. So I will open it up first and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Next week, we'll be having Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4 councilors on as well. And then I'll be going and having school committee members. As you know, you were all there on January 6th when I took the oath, as you did. We're all in this together. We're all duly elected, and we need to work in that way. So good evening, Shirley, Madam President. Thank you for being here again this week.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Mayor, for having us on tonight. I think this is great because this gets us into our constituents' homes. They're watching us and on YouTube, and we're trying to be as informative as we can. So as far as the ward goes, you know, we have a lot going on. As you know, the Guardian is in Ward 7. That's one of the nursing homes that was hit hard with the virus. And we have DW Fields Park, and we have the golf course. So we've had, with a lot that was going on with people golfing when they shouldn't have been, when the golf course wasn't open. So we've been dealing with a lot of things here, and you know, you were right there with us, you know, taking care of all the matters. So, you know, it's been pretty, I don't want to say quiet in the sense of my phone ringing, because the times that it does ring, I end up staying on the phone for a long time with constituents and explaining situations to them. But I think the majority of the residents are listening and they're staying home. they're following the rules, wearing their masks, wearing gloves, and they're really listening to what we're telling them, and that's stay home, because that's the only way that we can flatten this curve. So I can't urge that enough. And I know that I've been sharing your information on social media, on the city website. I direct a lot of our residents to the city website and the state website as well. So there isn't anything that's just ward specific. I think every ward has been hit in one way or another by this virus. But I can say that the city of Brockton in general has been hit hard. So a lot of things that are going on right now with funding and, I want to make sure that Brockton gets its fair share. We've been hit the hardest in Plymouth County, and we need to make sure that we keep our voices loud. And not just for my ward, but for the whole city. And so we support you in that, and in the sense that we need to make sure that Brockton's number one to us. It's, I know you mentioned that Councilor Castro is at the Plymouth County uh, Commissioners Board, and we need to make sure that all the right decisions are made, and whether it's in the county or throughout the state, that that our voices are heard, and we're there. We support you as a city council, and I know that we have our state delegation. We're all working together to make sure that Brockton stays strong. So with that, I leave it up to the other councilors. But I can't stress enough that we're available to our constituents. I know every one of us is available via phone, via email, and residents need to be comfortable to give us a call if they have any questions, so we can share information with them.
Thank you, Madam President, and you've been a really good leader and a really good partner, and a true good friend. I'll tell you, it is truly sad when at 4 o'clock I get those numbers every day, and they're just increasing rapidly. I do want to thank, of course, the state delegation. We have 3 state reps and 1 state senator here in Brockton, and I do a standing weekly call on Tuesdays with them. I had a call today with, of course, Mike Thomas, the superintendent of the schools, the CFO, Troy Clarkson, and then the financial school administrator, of course, Aldo Petronio. And we all echo the same sentiments. We need to make sure Brockton gets its fair share of money. There is $841,000 coming in from HUD. It's CDBG money. Some people had said, Mayor, why are we only getting 841? We should be getting so much more. It's a formula set up by the federal government. I had no say in it. I welcome the money. I'm waiting for the contract so I can sign it, and then they'll wire the money into the BRA, Brockton Redevelopment Authority. We already have a lot of plans. We're going to give it to businesses. We're going to give it to residents. The businesses that will get first priority, of course, will be the ones that have not received any funds for PPP. But I was on a call today, a weekly call with all the local banks. They're all working diligently for people that have applied for the PPP. And I did speak to Senator Markey and Congressman Lynch again the other day, and they've been wonderful allies. We've had a really great, within the last week, since Shirley and I and the councilors at large were on, great support from, again, Governor Baker and specifically Lieutenant Governor Polito. Karen Polito calls me a lot, texts me a lot. She had a great relationship with the late Mayor Carpenter and continued that with Mayor Rodriguez, and I'm thankful she's continued under my administration. Because Brockton is such a hot spot, what the state, other than the PPEs that they're sending through MEMA and DPH, but they have worked with us to do contract tracing services. The contact tracing services that we talked about last week are up and running. And I just want to reiterate again to anybody in the 7 wards and 28 precincts, it's just exactly what it says, contact tracing. They're tracing the contact. If there's a positive case, they want to reach out. They'll be calling. It will say on the caller ID, MA for Massachusetts COVID team, MA COVID team. If you see that, please answer it. It's really going to help us as we really streamline this process going forward. With that being said, I'd like to open it up to Councilor Jack Lally from Ward 6. Councilor, before you speak, I only think it's appropriate that right now, I did this for the department head meetings. If we could just take a moment of silence for a true patriot, true gentleman, everybody's friend, George Cataldo. And I know he was a dear friend of Jack as well, but if we could just take a moment and remember George Cataldo, who passed this week in Florida. May he rest in peace. Councilor Lally, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the moment of silence. No, it was Councilor Cataldo was one of my predecessors. He served as the councilor for the ward for about 16 years, which is a pretty good run. And we talked on the phone earlier today about the possibility of doing something to honor him, to preserve his memory, especially around the ward and around, what he worked on and cared about. We'll flesh that out and do more work on that.
We'll have an
Absolutely.
answer tomorrow from Tim Carpenter on that question. Absolutely. He wrote to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think the ward, I think we're doing all right. We did have a couple of the first cases in the city. Thankfully, those cases are recoveries. They've beaten the virus. They've come back from the fight. And this is interesting. This is not something that anyone has dealt with. Anyone alive. The last time that the country had to deal with a pandemic was 100 years ago. And so we don't really have a lot of people who can tell you exactly how to do this or that. And I think the important thing is this is probably the first time as humanity that we're able to see something like this coming, intercept it, and then act accordingly. So this is all everything we're doing: social distancing, staying at home, 6 feet away, wearing the masks. It's in order to prevent this from, we have a lot of deaths, too many, I'm sure, that everyone here would agree, but we're preventing it from being so much higher. And this is the first time we've really had the technology and the capability to act as proactively as we are, which I think is really important. But yeah, I think as far as the city goes, we know it. We've all said it, Mr. Mayor. I know you're very fond of saying it. The city is the city of champions. Um, we we're not afraid to fight, and when we do fight, we do win. And this is not a fight. This is not the kind of fight that we're used to, but it is a fight, and we're getting our bearings. We're figuring out how we fight and how we win, and we're gonna come back and win.
Well said, Jack. Counselor, that's truly appropriate. And, it's nothing that any of us expected in the year 2020 to have a pandemic, worldwide pandemic. And the scary thing is, as I said, I'm speaking to all these healthcare professionals on a regular basis. And what is going to happen, and we hope it's minimized, is a second surge. That is going to happen. We don't know the extent of that. Hopefully, and thank God, it's going to be minimal. But we need to get through this right now. And we talk about physical social distancing, and I would say a vast majority of Brocktonians are adhering to that. But all of us know, I've had to call the police to DW Fields Park, as the council president said, and down in Ward 3 to a car wash, and kids still playing basketball. So we need to just continue to get the message out. I know all of us, and the council president always shares all the posts, and that's what it's about. And it's about working together, knowing that the city has really, really been impacted from a people standpoint. The loss of life is great, and also financial standpoint. And that's where the mayor, the city council will need to work with the delegation. There are some businesses, it doesn't matter if it's Ward 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that won't come back. And they could be for generations in Brockton, and they disappear because of this. So I am proud to say that I've been working with the United Way. We'll be having a fund set up in short order. I know that the Brockton NAACP and the President Phyllis Ellis is doing that, and Vic is doing that. The Charity Guild on the corner of Dover and Main Street in Ward 2 has been providing food. Catholic Charities have been providing food. But really, each and every one of you have been posting and informing, and really, I think that that's truly what it means to be a public servant. So thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Jack. And now I'll open it up to the new kid on the block, the newest city councilor from Ward 5, Attorney Jeff Thompson. How are you, Councilor?
I'm well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the other city councilors on the line here, and all of the viewers of this program tonight. The status of Ward 5, I think Ward 5 is hanging in there. We're trying to make the best out of a tough situation. So some of the issues that I think Ward 5 is facing, and the first one, and I'd like to thank you for your assistance, were the downtown bridges. Over the last 3 to 4 weeks, we could see a steady increase of the homeless camping out underneath our bridges. It was becoming a public health concern. It was also becoming an eyesore. As you know, these downtown bridges are really the gateway to the east side. So that was a matter that had to be addressed. Working with you, Mr. Mayor, the Quality of Life Board, Brockton DPW, and the Brockton Police Department were able to go to the bridges and clean them out in a compassionate manner. So we're very happy that was done. And now our job is to make sure that the problem doesn't accumulate like it did before. Now, I've reached out to Larry Rowley, the commissioner of the DPW, and we started discussing some further prevention methods, including some sort of apparatus or devices that we could place underneath the bridges potentially to prevent the homeless from camping out there. So I just hopefully that's something we can investigate and see if that's appropriate for the downtown bridges. Secondly, regarding nursing homes, the East Side Ward 5 has the Brockton Health Center on Beaumont, and it's one of the hardest hit nursing homes in the city. And so our heart aches for all the residents who passed away at that facility. I'm glad to hear that there is communication with these nursing homes, and I hope that with the city's help, I know they're also regulated by the state, but that we can all work together to ensure that the workers there have the proper PPE so that we can do everything we can to limit the spread. As we all know, our seniors are the hardest hit here, accounting for approximately 60% of the deaths in Brockton. My grandmother is a resident of St. Joe's, so my concern is a little close to home regarding the lives of our seniors in our nursing homes. So that's something that we need to continue to keep our eye on and make sure the communication is there so that we can prevent any further death. Also on the Ward 5 is Brockton Hospital, one of the main medical providers on the front lines of this COVID epidemic. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Jack, for appearing at the parade. I believe that was on Tuesday. We really got to see a lot of the first responders. We got to see some of the nurses, so we could personally thank them for their efforts in this fight. They seem to be in good spirits and a dedicated staff that are, that are really finding the resolve to be on station and fight this with everything they have. So that was also very encouraging. I also wanted to do a personal shout out to the food service workers that are manning the East Middle School lunch grab and goes. I've been making an effort to attend the lunch grab and goes at least a few times a week. I'm telling you, these are a great group of women and men at this facility. Over the last month, 45 days now, they've been passing out lunches and ensuring that our children are receiving proper nutrition, and they're doing it in some pretty harsh conditions. We are in the springtime. We always know that April is a very rainy and at times cold month, and we're seeing that often. So they're there, frozen hands, but smiles on their faces underneath those masks to ensure our children are receiving their nutrition. So again, a big shout out to the food service workers throughout the city. You're doing a great job for our children, and we're so proud of you. Also, regarding our schools, the passing out of the laptops, I find that that it is enabling children that were unable to access the internet or have access to the internet. Now they can share in with emails, the learning materials, the different Lexia, SP Math, science, mysteryscience.com, some of those apps and websites that the teachers are encouraging our students to visit so that they can maintain their education level. I did attend the PLUF laptop pass out, just trying to find my place where I can help out. I was really helping with the traffic because a lot of people were arriving in a short period of time. So I was just kind of really trying to find a place where I could fit in and help. And, you know, and I know it was appreciated. And I was, again, able to speak to the parents of Ward 5 children, you know, the parents of the children. And I asked them, how are you holding up? How are you doing? And, you know, one by one, they were all saying, you know, counselor, we're making the best out of a tough situation. We know this is not what we wanted to be doing, but this is what's required of us, the sacrifice, so that this COVID scourge stops spreading. So I think the sacrifice is being met by dedication. And so I'm very pleased about that. Also, I'm just trying to stay on top of the usual constituent services. Although COVID-19, it has a lot of our attention, we still have people in our community that are, you know, worried about, you know, the things that are going on in the neighborhood, speeding. I know, Mr. Mayor, you were also a part of this, where people were having parties. And there was a party for a 6-year-old, I believe, a birthday party on the east side, where, you know, it was an unacceptable amount of people congregating for a child's party. Now, we want everybody to be able to celebrate their children's, you know, birth. But, you know, this is just a time that we got to be extra cautious about large gatherings because we need to nip this scourge in the bud. I've also spoken to many business owners on the east side, and I can tell you they're concerned about their ability to reopen. You know, as you stated, some of these businesses maybe will be unable to reopen when the time comes. They're treading water right now. We are making them aware of the different programs available to them. And I have to give another shout out to Metro South Chamber of Commerce and the small business associations. They've really stepped up to the plate, put out a lot of information. The banks that are helping with the small businesses fill out their PPP loans. And hopefully with the second pot of money that's coming, that Brockton can really be a recipient, our small businesses can be a recipient of this much needed money. I also saw on online that the unemployment for self-employed is now up and running. So if you're a self-employed business and was unable to participate in the unemployment before, that is now up and running, and you'll be able to make a claim if you are a self-employed business person. Two things that I'd like to talk to you about, Mr. Mayor, number one was the contact tracing. Could you explain who is doing the contact tracing? Now, you mentioned that these are phone calls. Would anybody be showing up at anybody's home to, you know, to get a better understanding of who's in the house or anything to that effect?
No, thank you, Counselor. And we can address some of the things you brought up. I mean, the people giving the lunch program is unbelievable. Chartwell's has been great. I will tell you that Superintendent has agreed that I had asked him if we could hand out literature starting next week at the lunch programs in different languages, and that's happening right now with Jess Hodges and Kerry in my office. In terms of the contract tracing, so right now there's one health nurse for the Board of Health, one nurse for the whole city. In a pandemic, in a non-pandemic, that's not enough. But in a pandemic, it definitely wasn't enough. So I went to the superintendent. I asked if we could have some of the school nurses to assist. 8 of them said absolutely. So they were doing the contact tracing themselves out of the Board of Health. It just wasn't enough resources or man hours. The state, through a program called Partners in Health, has come in to assist us. It's unbelievable. They do not go face to face. It's all over the phone, but it really is going to be a game changer. The state didn't have to designate Brockton. They chose to, and I appreciate that. Same thing with the increased testing services. Again, testing is key to this. Neighborhood Health Center in Brockton is a great recipient of that, which then piggybacks on to what I'm going to announce right now. Brockton High School is going to have, as of Monday, the testing, outside testing sites. I approved it. I work with MEMA and DPH, Board of Health, and of course, John McGarry and Steve Hook from BEMA, and Mike Thomas and his team. It's a joint effort. It's going to be staffed by Sue Joss's team at Brockton Neighborhood Health Center and Kim Holland's team at Signature Brockton Hospital. It's going to be appointment only. You can't just walk in. You have to pre-register with either of those two facilities. There's a press release that was jointly issued by my office and those two establishments. It's going to be really, really helpful. It's going to be entering the Forest Ave entrance. But I think a couple things that we wanted to talk about, just to touch on what the counselor had said, is in terms of the folks that were under the bridges, School Street, Center Street, Crescent Street. It was long overdue. It would have happened a lot sooner if there wasn't a pandemic. A lot of the folks were very, very nervous, but it got to a point, and Jeff and I were talking about it, and Chief Manny Gomes was great, and Larry Rowley from DPW, but it wasn't just a quality of life issue. It got to be a serious health risk where they were actually using the sidewalk as a bathroom, and it was disgusting. They were folks that were at Father Bill's. They chose not to go to a shelter. And we moved them on, and it was done, as Jeff said, it was humane, in a humane manner. We gave them a week's notice. They knew it was coming, and we moved them on, and we've been monitoring it. And the DPW commissioner counselor talk to me about the device proposal. We're trying to figure out how we could institute something there. But, in terms of providing services in Brockton, again, our biggest, I think, asset is that Brockton is made up of such diverse communities, so wonderful. That's what makes Brockton Brockton, right? And again, we had a call today, a Zoom call with several counselors, school committee members. I know Tony Rodriguez was on, and Cynthia Mendez was on as well. And a lot of the associations, from the Haitian Community Partners to Brockton Interfaith to Coalition for Social Justice to the Cape Verdean Association, and Councilor Cardoza, Tina Cardoza, Suna Castro and Rita Mendez. The whole purpose is for all of us to roll up our sleeves and work together. That's what it's about. That's the only way we're going to overcome this tragedy. We can talk about how we're going to get over it and deal with the budget when we get to that point. But right now it's about saving lives. That's why I did a curfew mandatory. Many people were upset by it, but you know what? I'm trying to save lives. So we need to really take every tool that we can do. In terms of St. Joseph's Manor, I didn't know your grandmother was there. I will say that Jim Keene, the CEO, has been awesome. He gets on the call. Guardian gets on the call. Beaumont, those folks definitely get on the call. It runs the gamut. And from Bay Point to West Acres, they do it twice a week. The Chamber of Commerce has been great. I do a standing call a week with the Downtown Business Association, Montello Business Association, Campello Business Association, Mary Walden or OCPC. The Friday calls that I do with the Chamber and the SBA, the Friends in DC, is definitely making a difference, because I know Brockton people calling my office thanking us for providing the service. It's not that easy if you don't have access to internet. So my office is working right now with Comcast to extend hotspots throughout the city. That's going to be a game changer for the boys and girls as well, doing virtual learning. 6,000 laptops were distributed, and I don't take any credit. That was Mike Thomas and Ken Thompson and Dr. Cobbs and all the team over there. So right now I think what we need to do as a community is really adhere to the social distancing, the health guidelines. Most people are doing that, but as we all know, counselors, and you're right, it was in the ward over on the east side that a birthday party, and it wasn't just 8 people. It was people parking streets away and walking over. It was mammoth, and that's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I had a birthday on Monday, right? I hit the big 5-0. We did a caravan. People drove by and honked and waved, and wasn't what I pictured. I should be on a beach with my wife in Bermuda, but it is what it is, and we have to be safe and we have to take precautions. But really, the whole, I think, purpose of all of us right now as leaders, as elected leaders, we have a duty to serve, and I proudly serve with each and every one of you. But there will not be anybody doing the contact tracing, knocking on doors. They won't do that, Counselor.
And thank you for that, Mr. Mayor. One other thing that I think could potentially be helpful, and I know we've been talking about the data, and we'll have more conversations about that in the future. But even with the data that we do have now, for the past, say, month and a half, all you hear is about flattening the curve, right? We gotta flatten the curve so that it's not as bad as it is. And then we're talking about plateaus, or where are we in the curve? Right now, Brockton doesn't have any a curve. Nobody's put forth any visual of where we are in this pandemic. And I was hoping that potentially, I know we have some math teachers at Brockton High, or somebody that that's educated on how to plot these graphs. If potentially Brockton could put together a bell curve showing where we are on the curve, I think that just give a nice visual to our citizens, so that they can, that they have a little more information about where we are in this COVID pandemic.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. I love that idea. I think it's brilliant. And you're right. We have the skills people that could help us on that. I know that all of you on this call understand, but just to inform the general public watching is, when we get our numbers every day, it's through the Board of Health. The state DPH will call Board of Health with a number, and it's a case number, meaning how many more cases in the city of Brockton. It's not age specific, gender specific, race specific, ethnic background specific. It's a number. So the number is provided to John McGarry, the health officer, who then provides me the loss of life and the current active cases. We are trying to, all of us, enhance that. The governor did an executive order mandating that nursing homes have to test staff and have to test patients and residents. But we need to do better. We need to get more data. And I know that State Rep Michelle Dubois is working on that. I know Congressman Ayanna Presley is trying to do that as well. But right now that doesn't exist. The HIPAA laws were expanded and revised, but how they were revised were when Mr. McGarry gets the numbers, if there's someone at a specific house, like my house, 4 Rock Meadow Drive, if I was positive, John McGarry would know that there's a person at 4 Rock Meadow Drive, and it would be 1 person, 2 person, whatever. Then he is allowed under HIPAA to notify the police chief and fire chief of the address, not the person, not a name, just an address, so that if law enforcement or fire had to report to a hot house, they call it, they'd be aware to take extra precautions. But I love your idea, Jeff. I mean, I'd love to talk further and try to plot it out. I think that's part of the whole mission, is to try to give as much information. We're not there yet. I tell you, the bell curve isn't there. I will tell you that Signature Brockton Hospital still had significant increases this week. Good Samaritan Medical was more flatline, which is great, positive. But yeah, let's do it. Let's get all the minds together that can do that. That's a skill that I don't have. I'm not a math guy, but we have that can do that.
That's why we went into the law, Mr. Mayor.
I don't know if there's any additional questions. I just know that the Brockton High School will be up and running on Monday. I do want to thank again Brockton Police, because the school police and Brockton PD will be monitoring that. There are going to be tents there. They're already installed from the state. Again, that was a collaborative effort, but it was greatly appreciated. And it was, the fire department, police department, and building commissioners working together as well. But it is really going to be a game changer to ramp it up. I do know that the SBA, Small Business Administration, called tomorrow. Last week, Congressman Kennedy was on. It's a standing call. Anybody can go on. If you can't make it, they send it out in email form on the website, Metro South Chamber of Commerce. My mayor's website in the city of Brockton is updated every day. It's translated into multiple languages that reflect Brockton. We also have a huge Facebook presence for city information. I know all of you are on Facebook. We share, as Shirley always says, share, share, share. It's the best way to do it. But I just want to thank each and every one of you. You don't have to be on this call, but you choose to, you accept it. I mean, you guys emailed me back instantaneously, which was awesome. And I know next week, again, your colleagues from Ward 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to join. But again, I just want to thank you for your service, your friendship. And really, I hope that each and every one of you stay safe, and we'll just keep working together to get through this, because we will get through this.
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor,
we will, Mr. Mayor. You're absolutely right about that. And we'll be
Thank
stronger
you.
on the other side.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Have a great night, and be safe. God bless.